happened to be one of the elders of the church. Their cow is having this. It is very, very, very danger. One day somebody sent us a kilo of, some halwa made at home. This is very good halwa. As I was eating the halwa, I got a leaf, which is a leaf called panal in Kerala, So I asked my mother, why put this leaf in halwa? So my mother said that they put it in a kodikutta. I don't know how to translate that into
The bun doesn't get more greedy.
Yeah, or something. So, and I laughed, I said that Christians doing these things. As soon as a child is born, what does our old grandparents and all? They ask for what they call the Panchangam, where the Nada, what do you call the Nada? Star, the star is written and all. Why they want to know the star, God gave us 5 children and 12 grandchildren. We don't know anybody's star. But they all look at the star and they say this and that, So my point is, we Christians living in India, we are 60% or 70% Hindus and only 30% Christians. Our faith is Christian, but our lifestyle and philosophy of life, worldview is Hindu, pagan. The Lord wants us to demolish that. Where we will start demolishing it? Right in our home. Judgment starts always at home. We need to take apart. I don't know about your personal life, but I know in the life of a lot of Christians there are these things. When they come to fixing the date of the marriage or the hour of the marriage and all, they have what they call the muhurtam, this and that, the auspicious time and all these sort of things. And this is what is a paganism, total paganism. When the bride comes into the new home, make sure that she places her right foot. There will be somebody, mole. Where all these things came? Paganism. So Paul was exhorting the believers at Corinth and the believers at Colossae, they are all for us. All these epistles are for us, that we must demolish them. We must understand that the pagan system, they are based on deceit, empty deceit, that's what they are, simply to deceive people. There are absolutely no reality. Of course, there is reality for the non-Christians. Because in Deuteronomy we read that the Lord has given the stars and all these things to non-Christians. But as for us, we have the Lord who made them. We have the Lord who made them. There is, in Deuteronomy chapter 6 or 7 somewhere said that. You are a unique people. The Lord has given these stars to the pagans, to the Hindus. They live by it. Everybody has to have something to live by. When you don't have the real God, then you will go by that. The human tradition, Hindus claims what? Our system is time immemorial. 2000 BC, 1500 BC. So they talk about the tradition. The Ayurveda. The Ayurveda is, that is the 5th Veda to increase your age. There are many good things in it. You say that yes, medicines, but it's all based upon traditions. And I said, elementary forces of the world, the stars, the air, the fire, the water, and all those things. Panchabhudam, let's call it. Panchabhudam. Panchabhuda, then dissolving. That's all the key. They talk about it. All their pujas are related to these things. All their pujas. So living in India, a thorough knowledge about this Christian philosophy of life is, not something good, but something essential, absolutely essential if we have to live Christians. So the pagan worldview is a philosophy of deceit and human tradition. that has the elemental forces of the world as foundation. Christian philosophy says clearly that Jesus Christ is the Logos. That's the explanation for the universe and everything in it. Logos is the source of all realities of the world. Logos is the absolute cause of all causes. And Logos is the uncaused cause of all causes. In the beginning was the Logos. And without the Logos, nothing came into existence. Everything came into existence through the Logos. In Him everything exists. We live and move in Him. So Logos, our Lord Jesus Christ, is the philosophy we have. So we believe very strongly in the Christian philosophy because that is Christ's philosophy. That's Christ's philosophy. We need to study Jesus Christ. The worldly philosophy accuses Christianity as unscientific. That's what they usually say. Oh, Christian philosophy is unscientific, they say. Is it unscientific? No. But we Christians claim that the Christian doctrines of God, creation, logos, design, purpose, law, order, etc. are consistent with the findings of science, history, archaeology and personal experience. But on the other hand, pagan philosophy and dialectical materialism could never measure to the test of truth. Only Christian philosophy can measure to the truth. Nothing else. You talk to some of the Hindu philosophers, Krishnamurti, a famous one, Dr. Radhakrishnan, another one. There are many Christian philosophers, the Hindu philosophers. Their books are very difficult for us. Krishnamurti's book and all, if you pick up and you read, it's very difficult to understand what is he talking. But he is one of the most popular philosophers. Such people. But what are they talking? They're talking this nonsense. There's no sense to it. But when you read Bible, what a book it is. What a book it is. What a great book it is. So the accusation of the pagan philosophers that Christianity is unscientific, is a myth. It's a myth. Christianity is the most scientific philosophy in the world because it begins with Logos, God. So for everything there must be a cause, right? There is no effect without a cause. So if everything has a cause, then the first cause will have an uncaused cause. You keep on going back and back, every effect has a cause and every effect has a cause and a cause, then the first effect will have a cause. But that cause has to be uncaused cause. Otherwise that will have again, you have to have a cause. So where will you go? You keep going back. Finally you come to the uncaused cause. That's our Logos in the beginning. Of course, where does Hinduism begins? In the beginning was Om, the Omkar. So what is Om? Sound, huh? You know what Om is? Om is the sound. Om is the sound. Some of these. What was Shiva's wife's name? Yeah, I said that. Om is the sound Parvati makes when Shiva beats her. Whenever he beats something, she says, "Oh." Don't tell anybody I said it. What is Omkar anyway? They say that in the beginning was this, this pulsation, the pulsation, that's the sound, making the sound. So how the sound is going to become the Brahma and how the sound is going to make the creation? What formula are you going to come up with? I don't know. But Bible speaks about a personal Logos. In the beginning was the Logos was with Theos, And the Logos was Theos, God, And God is a person. The universe begins with a person. The person has a mind. The mind only can think. The mind only has intelligence. The mind only can make plans. Om doesn't have any mind. The mind cannot exist independently. The mind has to exist in a person. So in the beginning was the personal Logos. That's the Christian philosophy. It starts with a person. Only a person can make a person. So God created man in His image. Everything else was created not in God's image. They are matter, they are material, They are not created in the image of God. Personal God created man, a personal being. Thinking God created man with the faculty of thinking. Feeling God created man with the faculty of feeling. Willing God created man with the faculty of willing. So that, we can understand who God is. An impersonal being can never understand a personal being. Never understand a personal being. So God is a person and He created a personal being. So Christian philosophy is the most scientific philosophy. Somebody asked the question, did the chicken or the egg which came first? The chicken or or the hen or the egg, which came first? Which came first? Chicken came first. But why? Yes. Only the chicken can make a movement. See, the egg cannot make movement. Creation is a force. Creation is an act. The egg keeping somewhere, the egg cannot make the move. The chicken makes the move. That's the beginning of life. So God always made, God is very logical, God is very correct. God did not create a bunch of eggs and said, now you take over. Because eggs cannot take over and do anything. So God made all animals. The moment life, He made life. Only life can move. If God created an egg, of course, the unfertilized egg will not hatch, right? So God has to make a fertilized egg. Of course, God is able to do that. But that egg needs either an incubator or hen to hatch it. So what's the point? So God made a pair of, chicken, a rooster and a hen. That's the beginning of that life. So how logical that is? The other is how illogical. It's totally illogical. Some worldviews accuse that the Christian worldview cannot be real since faith is a major element of it. That's very true. Not the accusation, but faith is the basic element of our worldview. Faith is the basic element of our worldview. And they say that since faith is the basic element or major element, it cannot be true. Why? Why? Christian worldview has postulations outside the material realm, and therefore cannot be true, they say that. They say hope, faith, etc. are needed to prove Christian worldview and therefore cannot be worthy to follow. Who would live or die for a worldview of faith and hope, they say. That's their accusation. You start talking about Christian worldview, immediately comes that we believe. They say that you believe. You say you believe. You can believe anything you want. But what do you do? What do you do? You ask the scientists, what do you do? In the beginning was the matter, right? And you ask, how do you know we believe that? That's what they say. So I thought only Christians believe. So you also believe? But then your belief has less credibility because a matter, how can the matter come into self-existence? Matter has no life. Matter is dead things. So how can the dead thing come into existence by itself? So it doesn't make any difference. When we say God made, God is an eternal person. He is full of life, self-existing. So He has the power to make things. He can make matter, but how can matter make matter? So the accusation that our system has hope and faith and all that thing makes it less reliable or worthy than the pagan system is a wrong accusation. Some Christians even concede to the pagan idea that faith is indefensible. They take Colossians 2:8 to mean that God does not want us to enter into any dialogue with philosophy, for it is vain and deceitful. But Paul is saying that philosophy based on vain deceit and human tradition, etc., are unworthy to meddle with. Our philosophy is based on faith, and that's what makes it all the more important. Why? Because the whole universe exists on the principle of faith. We all believe in gravity, right? But why do you believe in gravity? Why do you believe in gravity?
See the effect.
What effect? The apple comes down, right? But you only see the apple coming down. The other inference is? Inference is your assumption, right? There is something beyond. There's something beyond, something below. So that's your assumption. So who does not live on assumption? One of the MSc physics student, he appeared for his Vaivavos, and his professor, external professor, asked, suppose you dig all the way through and get to the other side. What will you see when you get to the middle of this? He said, I am not going to imagine that. You cannot do it, sir. He said, you cannot do it. Who is going to drill all the way through the... Professor said, no, that's not right, but we could or imagine. Why you want to imagine something that's not practical? See, I'm an MSc student. I don't want to imagine anything that's just imaginary. Have you ever drilled? No, suppose. So why should I suppose? You ask me something real. You ask me something real. But the point is, everybody is on assumptions. You make inferences. So, an apple coming down, you infer that the gravity is pulling it down. But blessings come down, we infer that God is bringing it down. Which is better, a personal God giving us blessings, or an impersonal something is pulling the apple from the tree? But then the question is, the apple falls on the ground, right? Why the apple doesn't go down? The gravity is still pulling it, right? Or there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? Or the masses of the earth is pulling it up. Is that the reason? Yeah. So some Christians, they say that, okay, you have an argument, but we have a better argument. The Bible does not ask Christians to abandon reason in accepting truth. God is challenging us to come to Him for a dialogue, isn't it? In Isaiah chapter 1 verse 18, what does Jehovah say? Come, let us argue. Bring your argument. In history there was another man who wanted to have a debate with God, a dialogue with God, and he did have a dialogue with God. His name was Job. He found out that he has done a very bad job. Yes. And he confessed, I have gone too far. I have gone too far. Peter in 1 Peter 3:15 is challenging all Christians to be logically convinced about the reasonableness of Christian hope. Doesn't say that. Anybody asking you about your hope, what must you do?
Give a reason.
Give a reason. That means that you have a reason for your hope. If you are holding on to your hope without a reason, then something wrong with you. You believe that Jesus Christ is going to come? Is that your hope? You believe that your body is going to be resurrected if you die? What reason? What reason? There is a historical resurrection. They killed a man called Jesus. They buried him. They sealed the tomb. But what happened? He rose again. So is that reason enough to believe that there is resurrection? Yes. They have not disproved that. They are trying to disprove it. They have brought so many theories against resurrection. First they brought the theory of, stealing, robbery, midnight robbery theory. Well, the interesting thing is, how did you know that it was robbery? Because you were sleeping anyway. Right? All that you could say when we got up, the thing was not there. How could, if you know that it was stolen, then why you didn't stop them? See, that theory falls even at the beginning itself. How can you say that? Because there is option. This man said that he will rise again on the third day. His enemy said that they will come and, rob his body. Now how you soldiers know that? In addition to why were you put there? To sleep? No, see, that's the saddest thing. Then there came the other story, that the mistaken tomb story. They say that Martha and all these women, it was early morning, there were many tombs there, so they went to the wrong tomb. Well, then why you didn't take out the body from the right tomb? And on the day of Pentecost, all that you have to do is, when Peter said that this Jesus whom you have crucified, the Lord has raised him up and made him, they just bring the body and throw it there, and here is your Jesus. Why they didn't do it? Oh, they also have the problem of the wrong tomb. Then some say that, hallucination theory. Hallucination means that all these women and everybody who went to see Jesus, and they were all under hallucination because of the extreme pain and all. They have taken some of these, what you call them, marijuana or LSD or some of these things, and they were all under. And it's amazing that in the history of the world, 500 people who took drugs all had the same hallucination. What a miracle that is. Everybody had the same hallucination. Jesus Christ is risen. These are stupid people who say all these kind of stories. All these kinds of stories. Then the biggest is, the disciples together cooked up a story. Because they wanted to make a religion. And they wanted to be the founders of the religion and make some money and all. After all, for 3 years they were with Jesus Christ thinking he will be the king and all that. Now that has gone. They said, hey, we need to make some money. So we have to come up with something. So let us come up with a story what? Jesus is risen. 11 out of 12 disciples were martyred. Who won't say that, don't kill me, I'll say the truth. In the world, why people lie? Why people lie? People lie for one of the two, either for fear or for profit. So, if it is a fear of what? If they speak the truth, if Jesus is not risen and if they admit that, there is any punishment for them? No. The enemies will be very happy. So that motivation is gone. Then the other is profit. What profit? So these sort of arguments, one by one. Then there is this theory called the swoon theory. That Jesus, he was not really dead when they took him out very early, and even Pilate wondered, he died so soon. So, they put him there, and this 100 pounds of all those ointment and frankincense and all these things, and the tomb was cool. Probably there were some holes there, and the wind blew in, and then Jesus Christ, shake his head and came up. Woo! And then he has pushed out the big stone. The question is, how could he push it out? Because they were all, tied up, his hands and everything tied up. The Jewish burial, if anybody knows about the Jewish burial, they know that, how they tie up. They bind them with clothes like this, keeping his hands, and then they put the embalming compound, and then another layer, then they put some, it's 100 pounds, Then again they put it on. So there will be 4 or 5 layers of it, and then the head and everything is tied, and this man had life, and then he just, pushed with where? That big stone, and all the soldiers who were standing there. Pilate had medical doctors go and check, verify, give the certificate. The Roman procedure of declaring a person dead is not that easy, especially when he is a prime candidate like Jesus Christ. Every one of those theories, they fell apart. So what is the reason? Give a reason for our hope, so that Jesus Christ is our reason. Jesus Christ, he rose again, and he appeared one time to 500 people, again and again to disciples. If 2 witnesses can settle anything, then dozens of witnesses will settle. Over 500 witnesses. Why don't you accept their testimony? So we have a reason for the Christian philosophy of life is not based upon, some funny stories. No, it is not. It's not based upon some funny stories. It's all truth. It's all truths. So Peter wants us to give an account, give the reason for our faith, our hope, and we definitely had. There was a man called C.E.M. Joad, J-O-A-D, Joad. He was not a believer in God most of his life. However, towards the end of his life, he wrote, "It is because the religious view of the universe seems to me to cover more of the facts of experience than any other that I have begun gradually and led to embrace Christianity." He said that the religious view of the universe, as presented in the Bible, it embraces more truth than any other view. So finally the atheist became a theist. He said, "I now believe that the balance of reasonable considerations tilts heavily in favor of the religion, even of the Christian view of the world." It is interesting to observe here that it is this same Joad who teamed up with Bertrand Russell on BBC radio to attack Christianity for many years. C.M. Joad and Bertrand Russell had a radio program on BBC which attacked Christianity for many years, but in the end he became a believer in Jesus Christ. Truth will win. Truth will win. Philosophy has to deal with certain fundamental questions of life. Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going to? Pagan philosophies cannot give an answer to this. Evolution cannot give an answer to this. You read through all the Hindu Puranas, the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, and all the Upanishads, and all the other, there are many other books. Manusmriti's interpretation of these things, and you read all those things, you will come up with absolute nothing on these questions. Who am I? Who am I? Maya. Adi Shankara taught about monism. that God and man, there is only one essence, they all belong to the same, they are all same, Man is God, God is man, and matter is God, and everything is this, that. So he taught his disciples there is no reality. There is no reality. Everything